She smiled like a Sunday school teacher while my life's last treasure disappeared beneath the murky water of Whispering Pines Lake. Meredith Caldwell, president of the Whispering Pines Lakes Estates HOA, wearer of pastel cardigans and fake pearls, self-appointed protector of aesthetic harmony, had just personally sent the Liberty to the bottom. 33 feet of restored World War II patrol boat, every rivet a memory of missions I'd never talk about, now a ghost under the dock lights. Such a tragedy. She'd coo at the next community coffee hour, clutching her little clipboard like it was the Ten Commandments. But rules are rules, Mr. Brooks. We simply cannot allow things that disrupt property values for the children, you understand. Oh, I understood. This wasn't about my boat. This was about control. And Meredith was absolutely drunk on it. 3 months earlier I'd rolled into Whispering Pines with nothing but a U-Haul, my pension, and the Liberty riding proud on its trailer. The place looked like a magazine cover. Manicured lawns so green they hurt your eyes, white picket fences, and neighbors waving with that practiced Florida politeness that never quite reaches their eyes. After 25 years chasing shadows for naval intelligence and another decade doing forensic accounting for the feds, I just wanted quiet sunsets and the gentle slap of water against hull. Whispering Pines promised exactly that. The welcome packet landed on my porch like a declaration of war. 89 pages of bylaws. Rule 14C highlighted in aggressive lavender. Watercraft exceeding 30 feet are strictly prohibited as they impair the visual tranquility of our lakeside community. The Liberty was 33. Someone had been stalking the real estate listings with binoculars. At the first HOA meeting, the community center smelled of stale coffee and desperation. Meredith presided from the podium like a queen on her throne, blonde bob sharp enough to cut glass, navy blazer that probably cost more than my first car, and a smile that could freeze lava. Mr. Brooks, she purred, voice dripping with fake honey. We're simply thrilled to have a veteran in our little family. But the Liberty, well, darling, it's just not in keeping with our vision. Property values, you understand. 72 hours to relocate it, or the fines begin at $200 a day. I tried reason. Ma'am, it's a piece of living history. Bought it fair and square at a Navy surplus auction. It's my retirement project. Her smile never flickered. Oh, we all have hobbies. But hobbies don't trump community standards. We must protect what we've built here. The room nodded like trained seals. One woman in the back whispered loudly, "She's just trying to help, poor thing." I kept my face blank. 25 years of training had taught me the most dangerous enemies wear pastel and call you darling. That night, I walked down to the dock. The main mooring lines had been half-cut, sloppy amateur work, but enough to send her drifting in the next squall. Tucked under the windshield wiper was a note on official HOA stationery in that same lavender ink. Some relics belong in museums, not our beautiful lake. A concerned neighbor. Cute. The harassment escalated with surgical precision. New dock safety inspections that somehow only applied to my property. $800. A sudden environmental impact study on my slip. $1,200. Special assessments for lakefront beautification that conveniently bypassed everyone else. Cameras sprouted overnight, all pointed at the Liberty like sniper scopes. Neighborhood watch volunteers started casually strolling past my house at 2 a.m. with flashlights. I smiled, mowed my grass to exactly 2.25 inches, because God forbid it hit 2.3, and played the perfect resident while my mind ran the old playbook. Observe. Document. Wait. Neighbors started whispering. That Brooks fellow seems intense. Military types, you know, PTSD and all. Meredith's little rumor mill worked overtime. I caught her at the mailbox one morning cooing to Mrs. Alvarez. We just want to make sure everyone feels safe, especially with someone who, well, has seen things. She gave me that pitying smile and a little wave like I was the problem. I nodded politely and kept digging. The first real crack appeared when I ran a quiet background on the HOA's approved vendors. Sunshine Landscaping, Aquatic Solutions, Harbor Maintenance. Every one of them funneled money straight into shell companies tied to a guy named Frankie, the fixer Lombardi. Meredith's husband sold insurance for a living. Yet they drove matching Range Rovers, sent their daughter to a $40,000 private academy, and just finished a backyard oasis that looked like a resort. The math didn't lie. Someone was skimming. I still said nothing. I fixed my flag to regulation size, no larger than 3 by 5, per Rule 9A, because oversized patriotism apparently lowers property values. I attended every potluck. I became invisible. Then one Tuesday night, my directional mic picked up Meredith on her back patio, voice shaking. "Frankie, please, the new guy is asking questions. He's ex-Navy intelligence. I can't keep covering the transfers." A pause. "No, I'm not backing out. Just don't touch Olivia. She's only 14. The call ended. Meredith's perfect mask cracked for 3 full seconds before she pasted it back on. I finally understood. She wasn't the mastermind. She was the terrified puppet. And Frankie Lombardi was the one holding the strings and threatening her kid. The pressure ramped up. Fake complaint letters appeared under doors claiming I was erratic and potentially unstable. Anonymous tips flooded the HOA portal about my suspicious late-night activity. Special assessments doubled. My bank account started bleeding. Meredith cornered me at the mailbox again, all concern and pearls. "Ethan, darling, we're all in this together. Which is why I must issue another notice about that aggressive American flag. It's just not in keeping with our aesthetic." I smiled the coldest smile I owned. "Understood, Meredith. Rules are rules." That Saturday night, the real strike came. At 2:47 a.m., I heard the splash, soft, deliberate. I was already moving, night vision binoculars up. Meredith Caldwell, HOA queen herself, in a cheap black wetsuit that still had the Target tag, slipped under the Liberty with a kitchen knife and a waterproof flashlight. She worked fast, panicked breaths fogging her mask. A small piece of blue rubber glove tore off on a jagged hull plate. She didn't notice. By dawn, the Liberty listed badly. At 6:03 a.m., an anonymous voice, disguised, called the marina reporting gasoline smells. By 6:47, the call came. "Mr. Brooks, there's been an incident." I stood on the dock an hour later watching the dive team hook cables to my boat. The marina manager patted my shoulder. "Insurance will cover it, right?" Meredith arrived at 9, coffee in hand, face arranged in perfect shock. "Ethan, this is absolutely terrible. I'm so sorry for your loss." They think it was some sort of sudden mechanical failure. Before any diver had even surfaced, she already knew the story. Cute. The salvage took 3 days. When the Liberty finally broke the surface, the evidence was textbook. Fuel line sliced clean, main drain plug loosened with household tools. And lodged in the fiberglass, a torn piece of blue rubber glove. The insurance investigator called it vandalism. I called it attempted murder of everything I had left. I kept my mouth shut. I smiled at the condolence casseroles. And I started building the case that would bury Meredith Caldwell and Frankie Lombardi together. The neighborhood turned on me completely. Poor Ethan, he's taking it so hard. Maybe the boat was a cry for help. Meredith floated through it all, clipboard in hand, reminding everyone that sometimes these things happen for a reason, for the property values, darling. But I had allies. Old Mrs. Delgado, who'd lost her husband to mysterious HOA fines 2 years ago, slipped me a thumb drive of every suspicious invoice since Meredith took power. Young Tim from accounting, terrified kid with gambling debts, met me at a Starbucks 30 miles away and whispered, "She's been forging my signatures for 18 months. 700 grand, Ethan. 700 grand. The final piece dropped when my long-range mic caught Meredith on another frantic call. "Frankie, the boat is gone, okay?" He's still digging. "I can't. Olivia's dance recital is Tuesday. Please." Frankie's voice came through cold as ice. 36 hours, Mary. Make him want to disappear. Or we handle it our way. I had everything. Recordings, bank trails, shell company links, the glove fragment with her DNA probably still on it. I reached out to a friend still at the bureau. Special Agent Rachel Morales listened for 40 minutes, then said the magic words, "Keep the Thursday HOA meeting exactly as planned. We'll be there." Wednesday night, I gathered the few brave souls at Mrs. Delgado's. 8 families Meredith had bled dry. We rehearsed every question, every document. Tomorrow wasn't a meeting. It was Judgment Day. Thursday evening, the community center was standing room only. 132 residents crammed into a room built for 80. The air crackled. Meredith took the podium, voice steady but hands trembling on the lectern. Before we begin, I must address some troubling concerns regarding Mr. Brooks. She launched her masterpiece, doctored photos, forged emails claiming I sank my own boat for insurance, anonymous statements calling me unstable. The room murmured. Then a planted woman stood up. Isn't it true your old firm in Virginia faced lawsuits for unethical practices? I let the silence stretch. Then I stood. Ma'am, that's a very convenient lie planted yesterday. My firm closed honorably. No lawsuits. But since we're talking evidence, I hit the projector. Invoice after fake invoice flashed on the screen. Meredith, care to explain why Whispering Pines paid Sunshine Landscaping $12,000 last month for work at a P.O. box that doesn't exist? Her face went ash. Mrs. Delgado stood. I've been tracking this for 2 years. She's stolen over $700,000. More voices rose. Tim, the engineer down the street, the single mom with the noisy kids. The room boiled. Meredith's phone buzzed. She glanced down, went white. Frankie was watching. I pressed play on the recording. Her own voice filled the hall. Frankie, the boat is gone like you wanted, just don't touch Olivia. Frankie's reply. Make him disappear or we will. Chaos. Meredith collapsed against the podium sobbing. You don't understand. He threatened my daughter. I never wanted to steal. I was scared. Agent Morales' voice cut through like a blade. FBI. Nobody move. Badges flashed. 6 agents materialized from the crowd. Frankie's enforcer by the refreshment table tried to bolt, handcuffed in seconds. Meredith Caldwell was cuffed while still crying. I was protecting my family. Outside, lights flashed. Frankie Lombardi was taken down in Tampa simultaneously. The empire crumbled in real time. In the weeks that followed, the old board was dissolved. New bylaws demanded external audits, full transparency, monthly open books. Mrs. Delgado became president. The Liberty rose again. Insurance Plus recovered funds paid for the restoration. We renamed her the Sentinel of Whispering Pines and mounted a plaque for every family Meredith had driven out. Olivia Caldwell got a community scholarship and is studying engineering, determined to build things that last. Meredith, cooperating fully, got 12 years instead of life. Frankie got life without parole. Justice, slow and sweet. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. The healing wasn't instant. Some neighbors still crossed the street when they saw me coming, eyes darting like they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. The For the Children crowd that once backed Meredith now muttered about government overreach when the FBI vans left. Property values actually dipped for 6 weeks. Ironic, considering Meredith had spent years weaponizing that phrase like a baseball bat. I spent my mornings sanding the Sentinel's hull with a crew of volunteers who'd never held a wrench before. Mr. Alvarez, whose family Meredith had fined into near bankruptcy over excessive laughter from children, showed up every Saturday with coffee and stories about the old neighborhood before the Queen took the throne. We laughed about the time she tried to ban American flags larger than a handkerchief and the time she declared that tasteful holiday lights could only be white because colored ones were tacky and lowered resale value. Dark humor became our therapy. Someone started a group chat called Meredith's Greatest Hits, where we posted screenshots of her old emails. Darling, your garden gnome is 3 inches too tall. Please remove or face daily fines. For the aesthetic harmony. We laughed until we cried, because the alternative was screaming. Meanwhile, the FBI kept feeding me updates. Frankie Lombardi's network had poisoned 12 different HOAs across 3 states, $15 million siphoned through fake landscaping, phantom dock repairs, and environmental studies that never happened. Every community had its own Meredith, terrified figureheads blackmailed with threats to their kids, their jobs, their reputations. The perfect suburban nightmare, power so absolute that even the abusers were victims. I started getting calls. HOAs in neighboring counties. Treasurers who'd found irregularities after reading about our bust in the paper. One guy in Georgia whispered over the phone, "They're doing the same thing here." The president cries every time I ask for receipts. I founded Brooks Integrity Consulting, pro bono forensic audits for any neighborhood that smelled the same rot. Turns out there's an entire underground railroad of retired vets and accountants quietly dismantling these little suburban dictatorships. Meredith wrote me from prison. One letter passed through her lawyer. No excuses, just raw regret. She'd earned her GED, started paralegal training to help other women inside navigate the system. She asked about Olivia. I sent a photo of her daughter at the scholarship ceremony, cap and gown, smiling like the future was hers. Meredith's reply was one line. Thank you for saving her when I couldn't. The Sentinel's christening ceremony was the real turning point. We gathered at the dock on a perfect Saturday. Every family Meredith had targeted, plus dozens more who finally realized they'd been next. Mrs. Delgado cut the ribbon. I gave a short speech. This boat was never just mine. It was a reminder that some things are worth fighting for. Today it belongs to all of us. We renamed her officially the Sentinel of Whispering Pines and bolted a second plaque underneath the original, in memory of every neighbor who was told to stay quiet for the sake of property values. Kids climbed aboard for rides. Old-timers told war stories, some mine, some theirs. For the first time in years, the lake actually felt like a community instead of a chessboard. But Frankie's shadow still lingered. One night my phone rang. Unknown number. Voice scrambled. You think this is over, Brooks? We have long memories. I hung up, called Agent Morales, and slept with my old service pistol on the nightstand. Some wars don't end with handcuffs. They just go underground. 3 months later, I was watching the sunset from the Sentinel's deck when another call came. This time from an HOA president 2 counties over. Mr. Brooks, we found your name in some old notes from a treasurer who passed away suddenly last year. We're seeing the same patterns. Fake vendors. Missing money. Our president is starting to act desperate. Can you help? I looked at the restored hull gleaming under the orange sky, felt the gentle rock of the lake, heard laughter from the new community dock where kids were teaching each other how to tie sailor knots. I thought about Meredith crying on that podium, about Frankie rotting in Supermax, about Olivia studying structural integrity so nothing like this ever happens again. I answered, send me the books. I'll be there Monday. The fight didn't stop at Whispering Pines. It never does. Every manicured lawn hides its own little kingdom. Every, for the children, speech masks someone terrified or greedy or both. I've audited 6 more communities since then. 2 presidents resigned before I even finished the spreadsheets. One actually thanked me through tears, said the blackmail had been eating her alive for years. The other went the Meredith route and tried to sink my reputation with the same tired, unstable veteran playbook. That one's currently under federal indictment. The Sentinel became more than a boat. She's a floating classroom now, kids learning maritime history, neighbors learning they don't have to stay quiet. We hold monthly transparency sales, where anyone can ask for the HOA books and get an answer on the water. The new bylaws we wrote are spreading. Other HOAs are copying them word for word. External audits every 6 months. Full resident access. No more secret assessments. No more queens. Olivia Caldwell sent me a postcard from her first semester at university. Front, a picture of a gleaming bridge. Back, thank you for showing me what real strength looks like. Mom says hi. She's teaching a financial literacy class inside now. We're both trying. I pinned it on the bulkhead right next to the plaque for John Maxwell, the previous treasurer who died in a single-car accident right before Meredith took power. The FBI confirmed his brakes were cut. Some ghosts still deserve remembering. Meredith will be eligible for parole in 8 years. I don't hate her anymore. Hate takes energy. I'd rather spend teaching the next generation how to spot the monsters wearing cardigans. She was a pawn, sure, but she chose to pick up the knife and go swimming at 3 a.m. Choices matter. Last week I stood on the dock at dusk watching the Sentinel bob gently, American flag at regulation size, because rules still exist. They just don't get to rule us. A new neighbor walked up, young couple with a baby on the way. The husband glanced at the boat, then at me. Heard you had some trouble with the HOA when you first moved in. I chuckled. Trouble? Nah. Just a little misunderstanding about property values. The wife smiled nervously. We're thinking of buying a boat someday. Nothing big. Just something for the lake. I looked at them. Young, hopeful, already dreaming of sunsets and fishing trips. Then I looked at the new sign at the community entrance, Whispering Pines Lakes Estates, where neighbors watch out for each other, and the books. I clapped the husband on the shoulder. Buy the boat. Just make sure you read the bylaws first. And if anyone ever tells you a rule exists for the children, run the numbers yourself. They laughed, a little unsure, but the baby gurgled happily at the water. I watched them walk away hand in hand, already picturing their future doc. Some people think the real villain was Frankie Lombardi with his threats and his money laundering. Others say it was the system itself, HOAs with godlike power and zero oversight. A few still whisper that Meredith was just a scared mom who got in too deep. Me? I think the real crime is how many of us stayed quiet for so long, nodding along while our neighbors got bled dry, all because we were afraid of a lavender-highlighted fine and a woman who called us darling. So tell me in the comments, was Meredith Caldwell the villain of Whispering Pines, or just another terrified woman caught in a web much bigger than her perfect lawn and HOA throne? Who really holds the power in these so-called perfect communities? The smiling president with the clipboard, the silent neighbors who look away, or the quiet veteran who finally said enough? Drop your answer below, because the next boat they try to sink might be yours.